Welcome to the Undisputed podcast. I'm your host, Jenny Taft. This podcast is the full show from today's episode of Undisputed from start to finish. They've got a busy slate, so skip Shannon. Let's get to it.
Good morning. Welcome to Undisputed. I'm Jenny Taft with Shannon Sharp at the moment. Shannon, did you go visit Skip's house and sabotage his audio this morning? Because right now we're working on Skip's audio, and I don't know what you did to set this up.
Jenny, first of all, he wasn't going to have much to say anyway. After I tell him how his Bucs and his Cowboys going to be looking this year, he was going to be very disappointed. So what he did, he ended up tinkering with his own audio because he didn't want to hear what I had to say.
Oh, is that what it is, Shannon? I know you are ready. I know you got a lot to say, and we are working on Skip's audio. He will be back soon. But I would like to start the show with you, Shannon, by talking about those NFL schedules that were released last night, because I know everyone is so looking forward to it. We finally have a good idea of what the 2020 NFL season will look like after those schedules were released. And that is where, Tom Brady and the Bucs will open up week 1 on Fox in New Orleans against Drew Brees and the Saints. Tampa will also host the Packers week 6 and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs week 12. So Shannon, what is the Bucs' record this season after you've had a chance to look at that schedule?
Well, even before they got Gronk, we had a general idea of who they were going to play. We knew that, I think, if I'm not mistaken, they were going to be playing the AFC West. And so the question was, when were they going to be playing these teams? Week 1, week 5, week 12, week 13. And so now we finally have the schedule of when they're playing and where they're going, home and away. When I look at it, I said 9-7 at the very beginning. And so, looking at this schedule is tougher, especially coming down the home stretch. I'm going to say they go 10-6, and I'm going to say they're going to get, they added a playoff, a wild card team. So I'm saying they're going to get that wild card. I believe they open up the season with an L in New Orleans. Game 3, which is on the road at Denver, will be very, very tough. It'll be tougher than people think. But when I look at this, Jenny, the second half of this schedule is going to be very difficult. At home, week 6 against Green Bay. On the road, week 9 against the Saints. 2 games. The last 3 weeks of the season, 15-17. Home and away against Atlanta. The Chiefs, week 12. And home against the Vikes, week 14. So if you look at it, the bottom half of the schedule looks like it's going to be very, very difficult. I remember when the schedule used to come out, and I remember going over the schedule like, okay, win. Oh, this is going to be tough. Win. Because I remember doing that in 98, and I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm like, man, we might be 11-0, 12-0. I did not have us losing to the Giants, and that was one of the games that we lost along with the Dolphins. And so I'm sure everybody's looking at their schedule now, especially the players, and they're probably trying to see where there's a win here, there's a win there. It's 50-50. This might be tough because we're in their building. We know that playing in their building is going to be very difficult. So I think that's the thing. I'm going to say 10-6, and they get one of those 2. Well, I guess it's one of those 3 wild cards now because you have 4 division winners, and now you're going to have 3 wild cards. And I'm going to say they'll have one of the 3 wild cards. I do not believe they win the NFC South. I believe the Saints will win that division, and that division is going to be really tough between them, the Saints, and the Atlanta Falcons. Hey, Skip, how you doing? Did you hear? I've said you guys are going to go 10-6, and you'll get one of those 3 wild cards.
I was having a little problem with my audio, but I joined you just in time to hear you say people don't know how tough it's going to be for Tom Brady to win at Denver. Did you just say that? The quarterback for the Broncos. Go ahead.
No. I'm saying week 3, Denver will be tougher than people think, Skip. And they've gotten better. They've gotten more speed. They get Bradley Chubb back. I think they've upgraded their defense. I know for certain they've upgraded their offense. And so I believe that game, and you remember, Skip, Tom Brady has struggled there a lot of his years playing in Denver. This is the first time I think they have a team that's viable, that I believe that can cause Tom Brady some problems again on defense and can put points on the board offensively.
The quarterback is Drew Lock. I didn't like him before the draft. They seemed to try to fall in love with him last year. We got to see almost like a cameo of him last year. Good luck to you this year. Let's see, Tom Brady versus Drew Lock. I think I'm going to go with Tom Brady in that game, and I think you will too. I realize Denver has been a house of horrors for Tom Brady for years, but not against Drew Lock. They will win that game. Now, my overview for what has happened for the Bucs with their schedule. When I first heard the leak of this yesterday afternoon, that the opening game was going to be, wait a second, Tom Brady's first game as a Buccaneer was at New Orleans, I was sick to my stomach. I said, okay, great. So they tossed a bone to all you Brady haters out there, you billions of Brady haters, and said, let's stick him with an opening day loss, opening night loss, as it turns out. And again, the toughest game of the year on the Tampa slate is clearly at New Orleans. It's week 1, and it's in a situation with a pandemic that we're all stuck in right now, in which we have no idea, A, if they're actually going to be able to play week 1, but B, if they do play week 1, and we're hoping that's going to happen, that there's going to be next to no time to prepare. So you're sticking Tom Brady with a new team, new offense, new coaches, new receivers, except for Gronkowski, and you're throwing him right into the fire at the Superdome in New Orleans, his hardest game of the year. Well, good luck to Tom Brady on that one, because the NFL is saying, here, we're going to stick you with a loss. And then, as I tweeted yesterday afternoon, from that point on, you saddle him with one loss and then sit back and watch what happens. Because what's going to happen after that loss, and I'm going to give you a loss in that game, even though there might be a silver lining, Shannon, because it's possible there'll be no fans in the Superdome, so that might give Brady a little better chance of winning on the road. But I still don't like their chances against the toughest team they're going to play on this slate in an away game. So then what's going to happen? Well, unfortunately, Shannon, you're going to have to come in to the studio, and we hope to be back in our studio pretty soon here on Undisputed, and you're going to have to sit in your chair Monday after Monday after Monday for 8 straight Mondays, because they're going to win 8 straight games, including a revenge game over the New Orleans Saints back in Tampa. So what's going to happen is they're suddenly going to be 8-1, and you're going to be eating all kinds of crow. I'm going to give you 2 more losses somewhere along the trail, probably the 2 division games, just probably I'll throw in 1 at Carolina and 1 at Atlanta. But there's a 3-game stretch late in the year. It goes November 23rd, 29th, and then December 13th after a bye. 3 straight home games, Rams, Chiefs, Vikings. A tough stretch, but they're all at home, just as Tom Brady's team will have finally peaked, caught fire, gotten in sync, found their rhythm, found themselves, and I believe they'll win all 3 of those games and then close out with wins at Detroit and against Atlanta at home. I see 13-3. And again, Fox Bet has the Bucs winning 13 games by being favored, so they're favored 13 times. So I'll go with the chalk on that. I'll go 13 wins for Tom Brady. I'll go 13 wins will be 1 more win than New Orleans has. It's going to be close. It could be a dogfight right to the wire. It could be that both of them win 13 games, and maybe Brady and company will have to win a tiebreaker. But in the big picture, I got 13-3. I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the Super Bowl in Tampa Bay. I reserve the right to change it, but off the schedule that I see, I love the fact that after game 1, they'll get right back on track. They play no cold weather games. There's not 1 cold weather game on this entire schedule. That will benefit the 43-year-old Tom Brady. That's one reason he wanted to go south to Tampa Bay. He will be as driven as any player who ever put on helmet and shoulder pads to show Bill Belichick that he was wrong the last 3 years as he tried to push Brady out the back door. And I love the way, actually, that this schedule sets up. And I didn't hear your prediction, Shannon. What did you say, like 10-6 or something like that? Some mediocre prediction? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I got 13 and 3.
One of the 3 wild cards.
One of the 3 wild cards. Well, at least you gave him that much respect. But in the end, Shannon, all I know is this offense will challenge Baltimore's and challenge Kansas City's to be the best offense in pro football because it is flat out loaded with firepower. Tom Brady is going to have, I'm going to say, 6 weapons that he did not have a year ago in New England when they were dead last in the NFL in what Pro Football Focus calls separation, receiver separation. He now has 2 Pro Bowl wide receivers. He now has Rob Gronkowski, whom he did not have last year. And Gronk is not too old as he's just turning 30 years of age. He'll have a big year. But they kept O.J. Howard. They kept Cameron Brate. They still have little Scotty Miller, who will be his new Edelman/Amendola in the slot with supreme short area quickness. The rookie last year out of Bowling Green, who had a big game against New Orleans, caught 4 balls for 71 yards. So I see firepower. I see firepower in the front 7 on defense. I see a Shaq Barrett who led the NFL in sacks. I see a loaded front 7. I see Antoine Winfield Jr. was a steal in the draft who will give them a quarterback, ball hawk, playmaker in the secondary. Todd Bowles is one of the best defensive coordinators in football. And all of a sudden, I'm adding up 13-3 Super Bowl team for Tom Brady in his new life as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
Yeah, you said something very interesting, that you reserve the right to change your mind. What the hell are you changing your mind for? You said 13-3. There should be nothing that comes up during the season that causes you to change your mind. You don't get to have that luxury. Oh, I reserve the right to change my mind. Now, if Tom Brady is the GOAT, why are you complaining? Oh, he got to start the season on the road in Tampa Bay. And guess what, Skip Bayless? There are 16 other teams that got to start their season on the road. Tom Brady is not unique. This is not something unique to Tom Brady starting a season on the road. A lot of other teams have to start on the road. Now, the last time, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, last 2 games that Tom Brady played, you're like, you think I want Tom Brady or I want Ryan Fitzpatrick? I want Tom Brady or Ryan Tannehill? Skip, for the people that didn't watch those situations, can you tell them what happened?
Well, you tell them.
No, because I don't know, I'm having technical difficulties. My mic, oh, okay. Yeah, they beat the brakes off him. That's what happened. So you better stop this notion. Do I want Tom? Go ahead.
All I know is Tom Brady did what he always does. He put together another masterful, game-winning 4th quarter comeback drive against the lowly Miami Dolphins in the final regular season game at Foxborough. And he drove his team 73 yards, touchdown, 2 minutes to go. And Belichick's overrated defense once again gave up another game-winning drive the other way to cancel Tom Brady's. Ryan Fitzpatrick went 80 yards in 13 plays, the last of them coming 5 yards, touchdown pass from Ryan Fitzpatrick, and it knocked Tom Brady out of the 2 seed he deserved, and it knocked him out of a bye week his team so sorely needed. And you know and I know that cost Tom Brady another playoff run. They got stuck playing the hottest team at that point in the playoffs. The Titans had come of age, had found themselves right on schedule. The same Titans who knocked the Ravens, the best team in the NFL last year, out of the playoffs. So don't give me anything but Bill Belichick being overrated. He's gotten pass after pass. I can't wait to talk about his schedule and his prospects this year. We're going to do that in a few minutes. But all I know is Tom Brady got stuck with the worst weapons he's ever had. And I got to put quotes around weapons. That was the sorriest supporting cast in his 20 years in New England. I'm still convinced that Bill Belichick was sabotaging Tom Brady. Because how can you pull off a Mohamed Sanu trade? Even Shannon Sharp said, you gave a 2 for Mohamed Sanu. He's done. He's washed up. He did need surgery. We'll see if he can bounce back from that. But N'Keal Harry was basically a bust. He was hurt and he was bust. And Sony Michel was in the doghouse, and Tom Brady said, I don't want to come back here. I can't do that anymore because I can't rise above what's left in the cupboard in New England. And all of a sudden, nobody saw this coming. He chose Tampa Bay. He chose the most woeful franchise in all of sports, a team that did go 7-9 last year, but obviously, Jameis led the league in passing yards. Only 5,000-yard passer in the league last year, Jameis Winston. Except he turned it over 35 times. Tom Brady turned it over 9 times. Well, if you cut it down to maybe 10 or 11, 12 turnovers, you cut them by 2/3, what do you think is going to happen to that offense? It's going to explode this year. What do you think will happen to the defense? It had the worst inherited field position in the league last year because of all those turnovers. That won't happen. This is the team to beat this year. This is the team to watch.
So what if you cut those touchdowns by 10, 20%? Okay, you cut the interception rate down by 30%, 40%, and you cut the touchdowns down by 20%. Okay, and I'm glad you finally did admit Tom Brady couldn't rise above, because if he was what you said he was, that should be no problem. See, one of the problems, Skip Bayless, that I have with you is that when my homeboy did the exact same thing that Tom Brady did, drove his team down the field, gave them the lead, you didn't talk about that. Tom Brady was great. No. You don't get to pass the buck. Tom Brady didn't get it done. Tom Brady in both games threw pick sixes. He should have had 2. But the DB for the Titans dropped one of them, but he made sure he didn't drop that last one. You know that, I know that. So stop complaining about they got to start on the road. Stop making excuses for when they catch this L opening week. And they're not going 8-0. Let's go ahead and put a couple of Ks of due on that. They don't go win 8 consecutive games, and we already got due on it that they're not going to win 13 games. So we're going to be pretty straight with due coming this year.
Okay, I accept. I'll take that. The point is, what is the hardest game on the schedule? Help me out. When you look down the schedule, what is the toughest game?
Well, Skip, look, opening at New Orleans, but I believe Green Bay will be formidable. I believe the Falcons will be formidable, and we know what the Chiefs and Vikings will represent this year. So, yes, 6 losses, buddy.
Chiefs, Vikings are at home, and everyone, it just sets up nicely. It's by far the hardest game is the first game, and they won't be ready for it because he won't yet have learned his new teammates. So the NFL saddled him with an early loss. And I'm fine with that because the harder I look at the rest of the schedule, they could win every game the rest of the way. That's how good this team is going to be. You know it, and I know it. And we already have 5 cases of due bet on Belichick will have a better record next year than Brady. And if you'd like to increase that to 10, would you like to go 10 cases right now on that?
I'm good.
I'll take 10.
I'm gonna get all my cases back if I'm unfortunate enough and I don't win. I'll get it back by them not winning 8 straight games and them not winning 13 games. But if you notice something, Skip, you do realize last year, Tom Brady lost 3 games at home. Oh, you know that, Skip? They lost to Tennessee, They lost to Miami, and they lost to KC. At home. In the cold.
Okay, he had the worst weapons in the National Football League. He had his best receiver, Julian Edelman, beat up, broken down shell of himself, led the league in dropped passes. Yep. His tight ends had the worst as a unit production in the National Football League. And the defense got exposed mid-year by Lamar Jackson and Baltimore. And after that, they were not very good. So help me out. How is that Tom Brady's fault? And despite all that, he had them right there in position doing what he always does greatest, to be the 2 seed in the AFC. So really, he did that, and Belichick spit it up at the end with a defense that has been notorious for giving up late drives, such as the first Eli Super Bowl, such as the Nick Foles Super Bowl.
Oh, my God. Skip, why do you do that? Why? And so Coach Belichick said, yeah, I had the number one statistically ranked defense as far as points, and I had the 27th quarterback as far as completion percentage, the 19th best quarterback as far as QBR, and I was, he was really low, like, 28 in yards per attempt. So now I'm good. I can get that from Jared Stidham and not have to pay him $25-30 million. I can pay him $800,000 and get that same kind of production that I got from Tom Brady, and that's what he did.
All I want to know is, I want you to show me 6 losses on this schedule show me 5 losses after New Orleans. I'm giving you a big L on opening night. I got it. You got it. After that, show me 5 more games they're going to lose. I don't see 5 games. Go ahead.
Green Bay, Falcons.
Wrong.
Chiefs, Vikings.
That's 4.
Yeah. Oh, you said, hold on. So you said they're going to sweep the Falcons? Is that what you're telling me? They're going to sweep the Falcons?
No, I got them losing at Atlanta. I told you that's one of my 3 losses. Okay. At Carolina, at Atlanta, at New Orleans. I say 3 road division losses.
And they're going to lose at home to Minnesota, and they're going to lose at home to my homeboy. And there you have it.
So you have them losing home games to Green Bay and Kansas City and Minnesota. Those are all at Tampa Bay, right?
Yes. Yeah, what part about that didn't you get? At home, in Tampa, in their building.
Okay, I love it. So I will bet you 5 more cases of Diet Dew. They will not lose all 3 of those games. Will you take that right now? Will you put your dew where your mouth is?
Skip, we got 5, we got 10-6. I mean, we got 8 straight wins. We got a couple of cases on that. We got 13-3. So, and we've already got a bet head-to-head that New England is going to have a better record than Tampa Bay. So, I'm good. I got like 10 cases out. I feel very comfortable. I don't need 15. I need 10.
The only reason
I'm gonna win off you.
The only reason I say that in mid-May I reserve the right to change my prediction is because so much can happen before opening night. So I don't know. Are they going to have 2 weeks of camp? Are both Pro Bowl receivers going to get hurt in abbreviated training? I don't know. I'm knocking on wood for that. All I'm saying is, as is right now, I'm going so far, I'm saying this is the NFC Super Bowl representative. I'm on record right here, right now. Go ahead.
So in other words, you're telling me if they only have, Tampa, so the NFL season might get abbreviated, but only Tampa would be up under that guideline. So everybody else would have their normal practice time, but only Tampa would have 2 weeks to prepare for the season. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I'm saying he's with a whole new team, and he's one guy with a whole new staff and a whole new group of receivers, except for Gronk, who needs some preparation time he will not get. I'm fine after they lose the opening game. They'll be ready for Carolina at home. And then after that, here we'll go. 8 in a row after the opening night loss.
Hey,
it's
Jenny,
just
I don't know if you can smell that,
soon.
Can Jenny smell that? That Skip Bayless is now the chef equivalent of his brother Rick because he served up some hot excuses. Woo, what a thing smelling good from way up here. Them old hot excuses. Maybe you can win the James Beard Award for excuse making.
No mercy.
Welcome back to Undisputed. So yesterday, Shannon got fired up about the story of Michael Jordan telling a flight attendant not to feed Horace Grant after Grant had a bad game. Well, that led Horace to directly contact Shannon after the show. So Shannon, please tell us, what did Horace Grant have to say about the situation and about his relationship with MJ?
So yesterday, probably around, Skip, I say 1 o'clock my time, maybe a little later, I got a text message. Horace Grant wants to get in touch with you. Do you mind if I give him your number? I'm like, sure, no problem. So about 5-10 minutes later, Skip, my phone is ringing, but I don't recognize the number. I don't answer numbers I don't recognize. Sorry. And so leaves a voicemail. Check it out. Sharp, it's me, Ho Grant. Give me a call at your earliest convenience. Okay, I called him back. I said, what's up, Hope? He said, hey, Sharp, how you doing? So we start talking, Skip. I'm from rural South Georgia. He grew up in Sparta, Georgia, which is more middle Georgia. We're about a little over 2 hours apart from each other. So I'm very familiar with Horace Grant and where he grew up, and he and his brother. So we start talking. I said, okay, bro, shoot me straight. What's going on with this deal? I mean, Mike saying you can't eat, lotta. He said, Sharp, I'm telling you 100%. That did happen. He said there's the flight attendants, they're serving us, and he touches the flight attendant and says, hey, he doesn't eat because he played like poop. And Ho said he stood up and said, F you, Mike. So he went back to confront Mike. One of his teammates, if I'm not mistaken, Skip, he said it was Brad Sellers. He said, nah, G, don't worry about it. It's not worth it. He said there are several times that he and Mike almost came to blows. He told me that it started from the day he got there, that Mike started this, what we would term bullying, from the very first moment that he walked in. So they always had heated practice. There was always a source of contention with him and Mike. And he told me, Skip, he said, Mike, this is the way Mike was. If you did not confront Mike, he would ride you every day, all the time. He said you had to stand up for yourself. He said, really, the only person that Mike didn't do that to was you know who, and the guy you know who is number 34, Charles Oakley. Horace said that he and Charles still speak to this day. He and Charles are very good friends. He said, but he had a problem. He said, I didn't have a problem with Mike, the player. I just had a problem with Mike trying to motivate me to get me to do my job. And he said, nah, that wasn't going to happen. He says, I did speak up for myself. There were several times that I was going to confront Mike and put my hands on Mike. He said, Skip, they asked him about this in the video. He said, Sharp, I looked dead into the camera. I said, Mike didn't want to see me then, and he damn sure doesn't want to see me now. They cut that out. He says, there's some, Skip, I'm not going to get into the other stuff. I said, he said, look, I want you to tell everything what I'm telling you. I said, nah, bruh, I don't feel comfortable saying that. Some of the other things that he told me, I said, but as soon as Fox Studio is up and running and we can have guests in, I want you to come on and you tell that side of the story. Skip, I don't feel comfortable saying all the things that what he told me. I'm going to let him share that with y'all.
Okay. Forgive me, Shannon. I can't hear you very well, so I'm not exactly sure everything you said, but we did talk about it, you and I, yesterday on the phone, so I'm going to kind of go off our phone conversation. Okay.
Right.
I have high regard for Horace Grant. He had a long and strong NBA career. He played 17 seasons, so he's no joke. He's no vagabond. Right. He's no, sort of extra set piece to this story.
Right.
He was the ACC Player of the Year at Clemson. He led the ACC in scoring and rebounding his last year there. And the Bulls had 2 first-round picks. They actually traded up a little bit higher to get Scottie Pippen in '87, and Horace went 10th overall also to the Bulls. So Scottie and Horace came in together, and right away, Horace was a very good player. So I'm going to take nothing away from him, and to his credit, the 1 year, and this will be episodes, that we see this coming Sunday night. What are we up to?
7 and 8, right?
7, 8. 7 and 8. In episodes 7 and 8, we're going to see Michael go play baseball for a year, AA in Birmingham. And in that year with no Jordan, Horace Grant made the All-Star team. That was the one and only time he made the team. Yeah. So I'm going to give him that much respect. Now, let's get back to Michael Jordan. He drove Horace hard. He saw right away that Horace sometimes needed to have his fire relit. He didn't always play with the focus and the fire that Jordan demanded. And it got a little ugly, and it got a little ruthless, and it got a little heartless. That's who Michael is and was. That was the guy whose whole life was committed to winning championships. In the biggest picture, Horace Grant was blessed to play with Michael Jordan. As much crap as he took from Michael, as demeaning as it was, as insulting to his manhood as it was courtesy of Michael Jordan that Horace won 3 rings right out of the box there, 91, 92, 93. 3 times he won championships in a row, in large part because of Michael Jordan. That's the guy and again, Michael was the unofficial head coach of that team and the unquestioned leader of that team. And he drove everybody similarly. But like the great coaches that we talk about who decide, I need to motivate different players different ways, he motivated Horace ruthlessly by challenging his manhood. And again, I'm sure Horace was that close to wanting to throw down and let's just see who's the most man here. I'm sure he's very close to fighting Michael, and he deserved to. Yeah. I got it. It was worthy of fisticuffs. And I'm with you. If you put me in that situation, I know for sure if you put you in that situation, them is fighting words. You're going to have to see who's the most man because you have to defend your dignity. But yet, that's Michael Jordan. And I've never defended the how of it. I've just defended the it of it because that's how he won 6 championships in 6 tries with 6 MVPs because he was psycho-driven. And yet he had high basketball IQ, high psychological IQ, and he decided that there's a weakness in Horace that he's going to challenge and make Horace try to rise up to Michael's level. And if he'd wanted to fight, I'm sure Michael would have been happy to fight him. And could Horace have won that fight? Maybe it's 6'10 versus 6'6. Maybe he could have. And Horace was a guy who averaged a couple of years 10 rebounds. So he had the ability to be tough. But Michael didn't think he was always tough enough and focused enough and driven enough game in and game out. So when he didn't show up, Michael told the flight attendant, no food for him on the way home. And it's Michael's way of saying, you're not worthy of food. But it's not like Michael locked him in the closet and said, you can't eat for 48 hours. He obviously was able to eat when he got home. But in the end, you have to realize that Horace Grant had a great ride because he did win 3 championships. Then he did make the All-Star team. And guess what all that got him? It got him a 5-year, $50 million deal with Orlando. So he got to leave after 94, which was Michael's baseball year. So when Michael came back, Horace was in Orlando. And in those days, in 94, $50 million, which he got all of. That was a lot of money, man. That was big money. So Horace got paid. So the sacrifice he made, the price he paid to have to live with Michael Jordan's abuse paid off because he won championships. And then he was blessed enough later in his career, 2001, he got to win a 4th ring with Shaq and Kobe. So that'll also work. Got to reunite with Phil Jackson. So again, I can't condone it, but I will defend it because I feel for Horace. I hurt for him because that was some low stuff he had to go through. And to this day, he's bitter about it, and I get it. But remember, Michael even held Horace accountable for the Jordan rules, the Sam Smith book that was not all that flattering to Michael Jordan. And Michael said in the documentary the other night, this past Sunday night, that was from Horace Grant. Yeah, he just flat out blurted out, that was from Horace. Well, it wasn't all from Horace, but Horace was a good source for Sam Smith, the Chicago Tribune. And yet I believe a lot of the Jordan rules came from Jerry Reinsdorf and Jerry Krause, and also from Phil Jackson and the assistant coaches, who also would talk to Sam occasionally, quote unquote, sort of off the record, just in passing. Sam obviously covered the team, traveled with the team, lived with the team. So it wasn't just from Horace, but I think a lot of the locker room stuff came from Horace.
But didn't Sam Smith follow Jordan sometime to the golf course? Wouldn't he walk when Jordan was on the golf course at times during the season when they would go and Sam Smith would go? At one point in time, didn't they have a decent relationship with each other before this book came out?
Sam Smith and Michael?
Yeah.
I don't know that for sure. I wasn't there yet in Chicago. I worked with Sam briefly in my time in Chicago, but I'm not sure. We shared the same literary agent, but I'm not sure of that deep background on that one. I just know that Michael was not happy with the book. Michael would not talk to Sam for at least a while right after the book came out, after the first championship season. You know, it came out in, I believe, 92. So the point was, Michael, what was his quote? He said, I'm going to laugh about it and I'm going to move on, was his quote. Like it was all just to him fiction. Well, it wasn't fiction. Michael was protective of his image and obviously his sneaker selling image. But I think the book was spot on, dead on, bullseye. And now we're getting to see that Jordan in the documentary that Jordan has signed off on, which is why Jordan said, right before it started airing, I'm afraid I'm going to come across as a horrible person. Well, I think to a lot of people he does. But again, we're getting to see how you go 6-0 in finals with 6 finals MVPs. And Shannon, it's the flip side of Tom Brady's leadership. I always laud his leadership. Tom Brady leads with love, if you will. Now, he will shred you verbally in practice or games, but he's not going to fight you. And let's do LeBron. LeBron is a lover, not a fighter. So all of his leadership is what they call passive aggressive. He'll be critical maybe through social media, but he's not going to fight anybody. He's not going to fight a teammate. And we're going to talk later about the fist fights, the punches thrown in practice at Steve Kerr and Will Perdue. But this guy is the flip side of Brady and LeBron. They lead with love. And Jordan led with fear. He wanted to strike fear in everybody. And all those players who didn't love Jordan in practice loved having him on their side in games because they knew he was the baddest man on the planet.
Skip, I believe the way I look at it, Skip, that I believe you can motivate a person without being disrespectful. And I didn't have a problem. Dan Reeves was probably Mike was the toughest on me. But the one thing that I wouldn't tolerate, and that, he and I had a conversation. I said, Mike, I don't have a problem with you, coaching me, but I won't let you disrespect me now. I said, now, some of the things that you think you might be able to say to other guys, if my granny wouldn't say it to me, I won't let you say it to me. So coach me, but don't be disrespectful. And that's the problem that I have. I think Mike, be a leader, but I won't let you be disrespectful. But Skip, I think that comes from the mentality of different locker rooms. Under no circumstance, there is not one guy, be it the best guy, be it the quarterback, be it a defensive lineman, where someone will let you openly and blatantly disrespect. Because I've been in locker rooms when the best player and a guy that you wouldn't think have thrown down because the guy that wasn't the top guy felt he was being disrespected. And that was the difference. Horace knows I lump Michael up. I'm up out of here. It's a one-way ticket. But let me ask you a question, Skip. Charles Oakley has a bad game. He's not playing well. You think Mike is going to tell the flight attendant, hey, don't feed Oak? If you're a leader, you lead.
Talking about Charles Oakley?
Charles Oakley,
no.
Yeah.
That was the one guy physically that Michael respected. And yet, you saw what happened. Oak was gone. The only reason that Horace Grant got to be a starter was because Jerry Krause shipped out Charles Oakley in favor of Cartwright. Remember that? And so because the explanation was, we're not tall enough. We need a center. We need Bill Cartwright, a 7-footer. And Oakley obviously went to the Knicks and became an opponent and a rival of Michael's. But no, Michael respected him. He was an elder statesman. He had been there before. And I don't know, Charles Oakley was known as What's that?
The toughest. See, Jordan, I think, Skip, if I'm not mistaken, Jordan got there in 84. So I think Oak got there in like 85 or 86. If I'm not mistaken, because like you said, Pippen and Horace Grant, came in 87. And so I think I think Oak came in 85, Skip, or 86, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. All right.
Skip, remember, Oak was out of Norfolk State, HBCU. So for him, and I think, for him to be able to parlay that, and I think Oak played like 18 years, Oak was as tough as they come. You didn't try Oak.
Wow.
And that was a different era back then.
Okay. Again, Charles Oakley was regarded as the toughest guy in the league. So would Michael pick on him? Would he try to motivate and light his fire by challenging Oak's manhood? He would not. But again, it's like Jimmy Johnson always taught me when I covered Jimmy Johnson's football teams. You motivate different players different ways, different sets of rules for different players. And Michael smelled a little bit of weakness in Horace Grant, where he's saying, I got to keep lighting his fire for him because he doesn't light his own fire enough. The talent's there. The drive is not there. The focus is not always there. So he pushed him to toughen him up. Oak didn't need to be toughened up. He was already the toughest guy in the league when Michael met him. So, I got it.
Skip, what people don't realize, Horace Grant was a 4-time all defensive player, all defensive team. He made the second team.
Yeah.
So he was very tough. But the one thing he wanted me, he's like, Sharp, you know, growing up how we grew up, eating raccoon, eating possum. And I was like, I know. I say, for me, Horace, I don't need nobody to toughen me up. My upbringing toughened me up. Let's go play basketball. Pass me the ball. I'll show you in practice. John, don't try to toughen me up. Let me show you can trust me by throwing me the ball. Ask me a question against this blitz, against this front. What coverage are they going to run? And I'll get it right for you. But if you think fighting, I said the only thing fighting is going to prove, I can kick your ass. That's the only thing fighting is going to prove. It ain't going to prove I'm ready to play. Trust me. And so, like I said, Skip, I told you yesterday, and you know some of the things that I've said. I'm like, Skip, I don't feel comfortable saying that on air. That needs to come from Horace's mouth. And I said the first chance that we get and we can open up that lot, Grant, you need to come on our show and you need to tell your side of the story. I said, because I can't do it justice like you can.
We appreciate that Horace reached out. And like you said, Shannon, I hope we do have the opportunity to bring him into the studio when all this is said and done, because it's good insight for both Skip and Shannon to hear from him directly. We appreciate it. Welcome back to Undisputed. Well, the Cowboys will open up their season in LA against the Rams in their brand new stadium. Another tough road game for Dallas will be a Thursday night matchup against the Ravens here on Fox Week 13. So, Shannon, let's start with you. What's the Cowboys' record? You've had a chance to look at it. What do you got?
Yep, Skip. No 3-0 start for you this year, buddy. That will not happen. I'm looking at 1-2, 1-3 possibly. You're going to lose opening night. Rams going to christen their building with a nice dub, courtesy of the Cowboys. The Falcons I believe the Falcons are going to get y'all. That'll come down to the wire. Russ and Russ, I trust, going to hang another L on y'all. And so when it's all said and done, I got the Cowboys record at 9-7. Baltimore going to get y'all. The 49ers will get you at home. The Eagles going to split with you. Minnesota going to beat the brakes off you on the road. Even though if Big Ben comes back and comparable, I like the Steelers to get y'all. So I got 9-7. That's the best you could hope for.
It's funny. I listen to you go down the schedule, and it sounds like you're picking them to be 3-13 because it's like you just gave me 13 losses, and then you say 9-7. Okay?
No,
I don't get the math. Maybe I'm not very good at math.
No. They got the Steelers. They got the schedule up on the monitor. Steelers is a loss. The Vikings is a loss. The Ravens is a loss. The Rams, the Seahawks, the Cardinals might even get y'all. But Skip, even though that's only 5 losses, You already know the Cowboys will do Cowboys things and lose 2 games they should win. That's how y'all miss the playoff year after year. So that's what I'm saying. I got 5 already, but I know there's 2 lurking somewhere where you're like, my Cowboys, but you'll blame Jason Garrett. Even though he's the head coach at the Giants, you're going to blame Jason Garrett for losses that Mike McCarthy get. But that's okay. You go at 9-7.
Okay, the first bet I would like to propose is I will bet you 5 more cases of Diet Dew that Dallas does not start off 0-3. Will you take that bet?
No. I said 1. I said y'all gonna be at 1-2 at best case scenario. You're 1-2, 1-2. I said y'all, the Falcons might get y'all, but y'all losing at the Rams and you're losing at Seattle.
Okay, but you said the Falcons might get, so put your do where your mouth is.
No.
Bet me 5 cases they won't go 0-3.
Skip, you started 3-0 last year. You started 3-0 last year, but this year it's 1-2, and the best you can be is 1-2, probably 0-3. You want that? I tell you what, I do 2 cases right now. You have 1 win in the first 3 weeks. 2 cases right now.
How about first 4 weeks? Because you first said 4 weeks. That's what you said.
You're not getting the Browns.
You were saying 1-3.
The Browns, no.
Okay.
No.
All right. I'll take 2 cases right now that they will be 2-1 after 3 weeks. Will you take that?
Yeah. I want that one. That's what I want. Yeah, I want that one.
Here, hold on just a second. I got to toast myself here with the little Diet Dew.
Okay, Toast.
It's the breakfast of champions. It's the nectar of the gods. And I have a swimming pool of Diet Mountain Dew down here in the flats. I'm not up there in the palatial estate, Bel Air, that Shannon is, but I have a whole swimming pool full of Diet Mountain Dew thanks to Shannon Sharp. And it just got a little fuller. Okay, so the harder I look at this schedule, the more I like it for the Dallas Cowboys. My heart is saying 13-3, but because I jinxed them last year, and I should have known that under Jason Garrett, it goes every other year, ride the roller coaster, because obviously 2016, they won the division. 2018, they won the division, but 2017, 2019, not so much. So I should have known, but now we're back riding the roller coaster with a new coach up to the top. We are peaking with Mike McCarthy and Mike Nolan now running the defense. And I got to tell you, I won't go to love, but I really like my team going forward. So I'm going to be conservative, ultra conservative in what record I pick here in mid-May after I see the schedule. I'm going to say 10-6. But winning the division, 10-6 will beat the Eagles maybe by 2 games, because we'll talk about this in a second. But when I look at the Eagles schedule, it has such a tough close to it. I could see them losing 5 of their last 7 and going 8-8, the Eagles. So whatever, even if they go 9-7, we will win the division as we did 2 of the last 4 years. So now it's our turn. Now go ahead.
No, I want to get. Can I get some due that y'all not winning the division? Or you gonna just bypass that? You think you just gonna sweep that up under the rug?
No, that's a duh.
What you want?
I didn't want to hurt you with that one. That's such an easy bet. I didn't want to push you into that corner. But I'll take. What do you want? 5 cases on that?
I want 5 cases. Y'all don't. We gonna win the division. Okay. Y'all won't.
Okay, who's we? I never know who your we's are. They change every day.
I got the Eagles. You got the Cowboys.
Well, who's your quarterback? Jalen Hurts? I'm not sure.
Don't worry about the quarterback. As long as the Eagles win the NFC East, I don't care who the quarterback is. Ron Jaworski can be the quarterback for all I care.
Okay. All right. Maybe you'll have Ron Jaworski. I loved him. Okay, back to the top of the schedule. There are 3 tough road games right out of the box in the first 8 games, because I'm going to include the Eagles game on November 1st It's at Eagles the first time around. Last year, it was the other way around. It was at Dallas first, then at Eagles late. This time, at Eagles comes first, November 1st. But what do these three games, at Rams, at Seahawks, at Eagles, have in common? Well, they're all three the scenes of fairly recent crimes. They are payback games for the Dallas Cowboys because it was a couple of years back, obviously 2017? Remember the game, the debacle game at Seattle? Zeke was terrible.
Yeah.
They got revenge in the playoffs, but I think they would like to go back and get some revenge at Seattle. So I give them some psychological edge there. Rams, they were just disastrous, albeit at the Coliseum in the playoff game 2 years ago when they literally got run off the field. There's payback involved there, even though this one's at SoFi Stadium, the new billion-dollar marvel, obviously, that they're going to christen on Sunday night here. And then at Philadelphia, obviously, was the do-or-die game at the end of the year last year, and Dallas stunk it up. Dak stunk it up. He was not very good. He had a banged-up shoulder. I'm not even sure he should have played. But there's some payback revenge going on there. I'm not saying they'll win all three. I'll give you that they'll probably lose at Seattle, but they're not going to lose to the Rams. The Rams are on the decline. Dallas is on the rise. And I do believe that they could go win at Philadelphia because they've always played well there, and they played pretty well. Carson Wentz didn't play great either. They just couldn't make that one play to get over the hump, and Dak missed Tavon Austin wide open in a throw that could have helped tie the game if they had been able to convert a 2-point conversion in a 17-9 game late in the game. So as I look at the rest of the schedule, the only game that I fear is the one at Baltimore. I'll give you an L there, and then I have a hard time getting to 6 losses because Fox Bet right now has Dallas favored in 12 games. So if as favorites they can just live up, which I believe this team can, well, they should go 12-4. So my heart is actually saying more like 13-3, but I'll go ultra conservative 10-6. I don't want to jinx them this time. They will win the division. They will be 10-6. But I'm going to reiterate this to you. CeeDee Lamb is going to change life in Dallas, Texas. I told you, and I didn't second guess this, I first guessed it. CeeDee Lamb was the best receiver in the draft. I still allowed CeeDee Lamb to fall from 6th on the Cowboy overall draft board into their laps at number 17 without a trade-up. He fell to them. And everything I read now, all the best, even Todd McShay yesterday, God bless you, Todd. I'm glad you're back from your bout with coronavirus, COVID-19. But Todd McShay had a belated draft breakdown, and he's got Dallas at the top of the draft because of CeeDee Lamb. Well, thank you, Todd, for that. So CeeDee Lamb is going to emerge, I believe, as their number 1 receiver, psychologically tougher than Amari. Amari, they had to overpay, but at least they kept him away from the rival Redskins. So with CeeDee Lamb in the slot, run after catch, like I told you before the draft, CeeDee is no lamb after the catch. He is a lion. He is hard to get on the ground. He is a great route runner, and he is a baller once he gets the football in his grasp. He snatches it. He goes after the football. He's going to change the way they play offense. And don't forget Michael Gallup, who is emerging as one of the best deep threats in the game last year. So they have triple jeopardy for defensive coordinators. And maybe that will help Zeke rise back up and inspire Zeke to be better than he was last year when he was 4th in the league in rushing. I'm hoping Zeke is 1st in the league in rushing. The offensive line is still top 5, and I still think it will be good enough. And then Shannon, the defense has been seriously upgraded. Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe, Neville Gallimore, you put those 3 in the middle, great things are going to start happening. Then you put Aldon Smith and Randy Gregory, if they're reinstated, and I believe they will be, and that kid that they drafted, Bradley and Nye, you have them coming off the one edge opposite DeMarcus Lawrence on the other. Now you're talking. Now you're back in business. Wolf Hunter, off his neck injury, should be back with Jalen Smith. And then in the secondary, through the draft, they added 2 ball hawks to go get the football DBs who can play safety or corner, because they're big corners in Trevon Diggs and Reggie Robinson. They're gamers. They go for the football in ways Byron Jones never thought about it with his 2 lousy interceptions in 5 Cowboys seasons. So everything changed. The whole attitude of the defense is going to change to playmaking. I like it. I'm not going to say I love it, but it's got to be better than last year when it was a debacle of a disaster, of a disadvantage for me to go into games with that sorry defense. All the missed tackles at Chicago, the most by far of the whole NFL season for any team. And then my kicker was a disaster last year. By any metric, he was the worst kicker in football. Thank you, Brett the Fret Maher. You're gone. And now they went and got, I thought we had Kai Forbath as we had down the stretch last year for a couple of games. Nope. They got Greg the Leg Zuerlein, one of the top 5 kickers. That will change. That's 2 more wins right there just off the kicker. So Mike McCarthy, made man, Super Bowl champ, Coach Montana, Coach Favre, Coach Rodgers. I hope he gets to coach Dak Prescott. The only way you got me is if Dak becomes a huge problem. But at least you fixed the problem before it started. You just went and got the best backup in all of football. You got Andy Dalton. I'm ecstatic over that. And I believe Andy Dalton could go 2-1 in those first 3 games if need be. So Dak or no Dak, we got another bet, more diet due on the first 3 games, because they can win at the Rams and they can beat the Falcons at home, and I will win the bet even before we get to the third game.
But you know what, Skip? I want to make another bet. I want to make a one-case bet that over the first 8 weeks, you guys will be 500. 4-4. That's what your record will be.
Weeks?
The first 8 weeks. Yep.
Okay. I got to study that. That's a lot to digest. Let's see. We got.
They don't like to digest.
Giants, Cardinals.
It doesn't matter.
Okay. At Washington. I got it. I'm good. I'm good. I'm very good.
One case.
How many do you want?
So, I want a case.
5? 1?
Yep. No, I want one case. One case. You're 500.
All right. Okay, good. Done.
Okay.
Thank you.
But here,
all right,
you do realize
myself. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. You do realize, Skip, you got Baker Mayfield, Oklahoma guy, and you got Kyler Murray, Oklahoma guy. Who you rooting for, Skip? I just need to know who you rooting for.
Dub. I got 2 dubs. They're both at Dallas, at Jerry World. I'm good.
Oh,
I love both of them.
So
both of them.
You're rooting. No, you don't. You're rooting against them. You're rooting against Kyler Murray, your guy. Baker Mayfield, your guy. You're rooting against them.
Hey, all is fair in love and war, and this is war. So I'm sorry. I love my Sooners, but this is war. This is the Dallas Cowboys. Sorry. They're going to win. Listen, Kyler Murray is going to have a wild card team. He's going to get to the wild card, but he will lose at Dallas.
No mercy.
Well, for the first time in 20 years, the Patriots and Bill Belichick will not have Tom Brady on their roster. New England opens up the season at home against the Dolphins. Week 3, they'll take on Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in Kansas City. And then Week 10, Lamar Jackson and the Ravens come to town. So, Shannon, what do you got? What is the Patriots record?
Man. I mean, I'm looking at this week 12 at home against Arizona. It'll be real nice and cold for Kyler. 13 and 14, Skip. I believe, like 13 and 14, Skip, I believe they're going to stay on the West Coast because they play one game like on Sunday, and then they have a following game that Thursday. So I believe, and those both games are the Rams and the Chargers. So I believe they stay out on the West Coast for that because then they're on the road again at Miami. So they try to do Coach Belichick real dirty, try to do him real bad, Skip Bayless, but that's okay. They're going to come through with flying colors, and then week 16, 17 at home against the Bills and Jets. Now, since you love mentioning gambling, Fox Bet has the Patriots favored in 10 games. Did you know that, Skip? 10 of them.
I did.
Mm-hmm. Coach Coach Belichick has remade this roster. He got younger. He got more athletic on the most important side of the football, he believes, which is the defense. They're going to win games like they won them last year with the defense. And he says, this is why I wanted to move on with Jared Stidham, because why would I pay a quarterback $30 million a year to manage the game like you know who did last year? He said he don't mention names. He's on to this season 2020. So with all that being said, Skip Bayless, I got the Patriots at 9-7.
Well, wait a second. You told me the Patriots would have a better record than Tom Brady, but you just picked Tom Brady to win 10 games, right? And now you got the Patriots. You're already conceding. You're conceding a 5-case bet of Diet Dew.
I ain't conceding, Skip. I'm not conceding anything because I even though I said 9-7, I got a sneaky feeling that there's going to be a game here that y'all lose, Tampa loses, and there's one somewhere that I don't see right now that the Patriots are going to win, and that thing going to flip the script on you guys.
Ah, really? Well, that was a nice try. That was a nice scramble to get out of the trap that you stepped in, but now it's my turn. The harder I look at this Patriots schedule, the more I think it has 6-10 written all over it. In fact, I would be impressed. I will be impressed if this team can even go 6-10. This is statistically, off last year's records, the hardest schedule in the entire National Football League. Then on degree of difficulty, strength of schedule, this is the hardest or the worst. So I look at it, and they do get to open at home against a Dolphins team they probably should beat. But I told you yesterday, on paper, the Dolphins are now a better football team than the Patriots. And if you tell me, well, it's Belichick over Brian Flores, well, I thought that until that last regular season game last year. So the Dolphins are going to end last year's season at Foxborough and begin this season at Foxborough, where they had a really good feeling. Ryan Fitzpatrick drove the Dolphins 80 yards in 13 plays against Bill Belichick's vaunted defense to win that game at the wire. After Brady had done what he always does, another fourth quarter comeback, touchdown drive, looked like it was the game winner. And Ryan Fitzpatrick in 13 plays shredded Belichick's defense. So they're going to come into the opener with a pretty good feeling. I think they should start Tua. You don't. So even if it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ryan would probably have a little better chance of beating Belichick at Belichick in the opener. So let's say you've already predicted it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. So let's do that. Well, most people have this, most of the betting houses, including Fox Bet, have this around a 7-point game. That's too many, man. I'll take that right now. If you give me the Dolphins and 7 in that game, thank you. Again, I'll give you the dub on it. I'll say that New England gets off to a 1-0 start, but it's going to be much closer than 7 points. And I just want to remind everybody, Bill Belichick is going to replace the GOAT with a first-year starter who was a fourth-round draft pick, who last seen at Auburn in his final season at Auburn was terrible. Jared Stidham at Auburn. Just look it up. Go back and look what happened. They went 8-5. They lost all their big games. And in the biggest games against the Alabamas and the Georgias, he lost his accuracy. He lost his confidence. He lost his poise all too often. He was anything but Brady-esque then. And that's the last time he actually played high-level football. Now you're going to ask him to step into the shoes or the cleats worn by Tom Brady? Thomas Edward Patrick Brady Jr.? That guy's going to replace him? Shannon, do you realize the pressure on that poor kid? I feel for him. I hurt for him. I say good luck and God bless to Jared Stidham with a roster that looks worse than last year, trying to replace the GOAT? It's preposterous, but it's what Belichick is trying to do. He's saying, okay, so I did next to nothing in free agency, and I had a shockingly blah draft. I didn't really do much of anything. I didn't land any big-name players. Obviously, he could have taken Jordan Love at number 23. He did not. He's going with the player he still refers to, he did again last night, as Stid. Never heard him refer by nickname to any player in Belichick's history, and he's going with Stid. He loves Stid because Stid is his new Brady, at least in his delusional view. I'm going to show the world I can win, I can make the playoffs with Stid. Well, Shannon, help me out. What's left here? I give you Stephon Gilmore, might be the best corner in football. I give you that. I give you McCourty, or either both of McCourty. I'll give you those. I'll give you the back end of the defense. I will not give you the front seven. Too many defections, a parade, an exodus, too many holes left in the defense that did not get addressed. And on offense, show me the playmaker. Is it Edelman? Is it N'Keal Harry? I don't know. It looks like it's James White or bust. That would be the only player left on the offense I trust. Sony Michel got lost in Belichick's doghouse last year. The offensive line was below average. It didn't really get upgraded, except they put the tag on Joe Tooney, the left guard. Really? I don't get it. I don't see it. And now you're playing off last year's records, the toughest schedule in pro football. So, okay, let's say they beat the Dolphins. Then they go to Seattle. That's an L. And then can they beat the Raiders at home? Maybe. I don't know. The Raiders are pretty good with Derek Carr. But then here we go. At Kansas City. Then Broncos probably win that. But here we go. San Francisco. Buffalo. Buffalo's better than New England is. At Jets, okay. They're going to lose that game. They can't beat the Jets at the Jets. Baltimore, L. Houston, at Houston, L. Kyler, that's a 50-50 game. I think Kyler probably wins that game. Then you got Chargers, Rams, both away. They'll lose one of those games. Then at Dolphins, they'll lose that game. Then Buffalo at home, they'll lose that game. And then maybe they could beat the Jets. That sounds like 6-10 to me, yet the NFL gave them the max 5 primetime games. Well, are we going to wind up rubbernecking those games? That's what it feels like to me. You're going to have to rubberneck those games because it'll be like watching accidents.
You're a hater. You're a hater.
Shannon, I'm sorry, I don't see it.
But when you look at the Patriots, okay, they don't play any teams that's coming off a bye. So nobody's going to have an extra week. You skip, sometimes, like, okay, they have this tough game, but they're going to be coming off a bye. They don't play any of these teams that's coming off a bye. And when was the last time that we looked at the Patriots roster and like, man, they loaded. Their roster always looked terrible. That's why we give them so much credit, because when we look at their roster, you're like, how the hell they keep doing all that? So, because Coach Belichick knows what he's doing, he's able to find value without playing market price or without getting, he get that less than name brand. Skip, they keep the name brand at our level. They keep the stuff that's not name brand. It's like way down or it's way, way up. So That's what Coach Belichick does. He doesn't get the stuff at our level, all these big names that you think, oh, he can rush the pass or he can catch this or he can do that. Coach Belichick said, I'm going to go right on down here and get this big old 15-pound box of cereal for $2 and watch where I make a meal out of this thing. And that's what's going to happen again. 9-7. And your team, we might tie.
Tie at 9-7?
Bucs and Patriots. Yeah.
What about?
Yeah, Bucs and Patriots. We might tie.
What about 5 more cases we don't tie? No, you don't want to do that. Shannon, I'm going to remind everybody out there, one more time, I'm going to remind everybody. Pre-Tom Brady, Bill Belichick as a head coach had 5 losing seasons out of 6. He was not very good. He had started 0-2 that year that Brady saved the day in the world and his job. Started 0-2, and Tom Brady fell out of heaven into his lap out of the 6th round. At that point, as a head coach, he was 41-57. He was 16 games under 500. I think he's going to get exposed. I'm sorry. Brady made Belichick. Stid will not be able to remake Belichick. Yep, you're right. He's positioned himself to say, look what I do with a bunch of no names and Stid. And if he does make the playoffs and win this division again, he'll be the coach of the year for the first time in 10 years. Ain't happening. Nope, can't see it.
Yes,
6-10.
Get what? Look, why do you keep doing this? Let the man, you keep bringing up that man past. He shouldn't be judged by his past. Judge him by what he's going to do moving forward. That's what we do with people. Ain't that what we do? We don't judge a man on his past. Okay, he's moved past that. Okay. That was 20 years ago. What has he done the last 20 years? Yep. He's been a model citizen. Okay, I don't know about model, but he won a bunch of games.
I don't know about that, Shannon. I feel like around here sometimes you say forgive, but don't forget. No mercy. Well, how about this? Tom Brady's first game as a Buccaneer will be on the road against Drew Brees and the Saints. The two QBs are 1-2 all-time for both passing yards and touchdowns. And according to Fox Bet, the Bucs are now 4.5-point underdogs in that game. So, Skip, I want to ask you first, what was your reaction when you heard about Brady's Week 1 matchup?
I was angry. I was sick to my stomach. This game leaked yesterday afternoon. It's obviously the marquee game of opening weekend. Even Cowboys at Rams doesn't match this. And whoever knew that Tampa at New Orleans would be the game, maybe of the whole year in the National Football League. But this one's at New Orleans. And I was deflated to the point that it smacked a little bit to me, Shannon, of deflate gate, as in the NFL threw Brady under the bus. In this case, under New Orleans bus at New Orleans. Unfair. Just wrong. This is clearly the toughest game on the schedule for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And it's going to come right out of the box on opening Sunday. Fortunately, it's on Fox at 4:25 Eastern. Be there, watch that. We all will. And yet, it's unfair because with abbreviated preseason, I don't know if we'll have one preseason game. I don't know, but what we'll have no more than 2 weeks of training camp ahead of opening Sunday. Now, is it possible there'll be nobody in the stands at the Superdome? I have no idea. It's possible. Will they be sitting in every second or third seat? I don't know. But the point is, New Orleans on opening Sunday is going to be better than Brady's new football team. Obviously, Drew Brees to Michael Thomas is seasoned. It's signed, sealed, and it's been delivered. They can do it in their sleep. They can roll out of bed and know where each other is going to be. Know that you got to be on a dime running that route to that exact spot. They have chemistry, those two. Brady, as we speak, has chemistry with Gronkowski, but it's in mothballs, and they haven't thrown and caught passes in a game for 2 years, obviously, since the Super Bowl that they won together, thanks to Gronk. And two Pro Bowl receivers don't know Tom Brady yet. Are they throwing to each other as we speak? I hope so. But no game preparation. Probably, I don't know what's going to happen with the preseason games. I don't know. Maybe there'll be a couple, and maybe it'll give them a little bit of an edge. But with a whole new offense, a new coach in Bruce Arians, and a new advisor in Tom Moore, it's a lot to ask for Tom Brady just to flip the switch and try to play the toughest opponent at its building on week 1. That's just wrong. So you can look at my timeline. I immediately tweeted, okay, way to go, NFL. Saddle Brady with an opening day loss and then watch what happens. Because as I look down the schedule, greatness is going to happen. I still believe in this team, Shannon Sharp, the way I always did. I believe after an opening loss at New Orleans, just because they won't be ready for it, that they're going to win 8 straight games, including a revenge victory at home over Drew Brees and Sean Payton and company. And from there, They have one tough stretch, but it's all at home, and it's November 23rd, 29, and then bye week December 13th, and it's Rams, Chiefs, Vikings. They're at home, and that will be when that team peaks. You're going to see it in all its glory. That offense will be challenging Kansas City and Baltimore for the top offense in football. I believe Brady will be right in the thick of the MVP race in those 3 games, and I believe they'll win all 3 of them. They're going to lose, I believe, a couple of other road games. So I'll say they don't win a road game in the division. They'll lose at Falcons. They'll lose at Panthers. And as I said, they're going to lose opener at Saints. Other than that, they're going to win a whole bunch of football games. They're going to win 13. They're going to be 13-3. And by the way, Fox Bet has them favored in 13. So I don't think I'm out on the limb to say 13 wins for Tampa Bay. Hooray. Just watch and weep, Shannon Sharp, because you're going to have your haters' delight on opening weekend. I'll give you that one. And you'll come in and say the king is dead and blah, blah, blah. It's throwing a bone to the Brady haters in week 1. I got that. But after that, you're going to have a steady diet of fried crow.
Whoa, wait a minute. Now you're going to come on TV after the schedule is released, and you see Tampa Bay, the Bucs, open up on the road against New Orleans, and you're going to come out here crying and slinging snot? You just told everybody leading up to this, Tom Brady is better than Jameis Winston. Jameis just threw for 5,100 yards. Jameis just had 33 touchdowns. What happened to that? You didn't mention anything about Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and those receivers working together. Oh, Tom Brady will figure it out. Oh, who needs that? He's with Tom Moore. He has Bruce Arians. Now, all of a sudden, you throwing a tantrum on the floor. Okay, so what about Green Bay? They got to open up on the road in Minnesota. Cleveland got to open up on the road against Baltimore. You ain't say nothing about that. Oh, only poor Tom. So what you want him to have? A home game against who? Skip? Who you want him to play against? Cincinnati? Oh, it'll be right up your alley. Let's have Cincinnati. No, it ain't happening.
How about the Bears at home? I would have taken that.
Yeah, I bet you would have taken that.
Yep.
Skip, first of all, you knew Brady. They were going to pair him against somebody marquee. You remember when Peyton went to Denver? They opened up on a Sunday night against who, Skip? The Steelers. That's what happens, Skip. People want to see a marquee team. They don't want to see the Bucs, Tom Brady open up against the Bears, or against him open up against somebody that doesn't have a good quarterback. You knew he was opening up. They couldn't put him. They would have slapped his butt. You lucky. They didn't slap his butt on the road opening night Thursday against my homeboy, because you know he'd have caught an L in that one. I don't want to hear no excuses. 16 teams are opening up on the road. Tom Brady just happened to be one of those. So stop crying, making excuses when you've been telling everybody for the last 2 months, oh, he's better than Jameis. If Jameis threw for 5,100, what do you think Tom's going to throw for? Jameis threw for 33 touchdowns. What do you think Tom's going to do? You didn't mention about the possibly abbreviated OTAs, minicamp, training camp. You didn't mention that. Now, all of a sudden, you get a chance to look at the schedule where Tom's at a decided disadvantage. He changed teams after 20 years. He doesn't know these receivers. All the things you should have been thinking about before you jumped on the bandwagon and talk about 13-3.
Shannon, at least they could have put New Orleans at Tampa. I would have accepted that.
Why?
This is just unfair. Why? New quarterback, new team, no preseason. That's unfair.
But
you know it and I know it.
He the GOAT.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
now all of a sudden,
me that he's
the GOAT
way
don't
over
eat.
The hill.
Oh, now the GOAT can't eat. He might be a GOAT, but he don't eat like he used to. You remember GOAT, them old young GOATs, they eat a bunch. That's all they do is eat. But as you get older, Skip, you don't have the same stomach. How is that? Is that your GOAT? Is that your GOAT, Skip?
Well, I'm going to be crying all the way to my... Hey, Shannon, I'll be crying all the way to my Diet Mountain Dew swimming pool. Yours is full of tears. Mine is full of Diet Dew, and I'm still saying,
okay,
you screwed them in game 1, but after that, they'll get you back. 13-3, Tampa Bay, and I'm going completely out on the limb. I say Bucs win the NFC and play a home Super Bowl, first team ever to play in a home Super Bowl in Tampa.
Bucs are not winning the division. Bucs are not winning the NFC. They're going to get the third wild card, which will be a gift because since they added a wild card, they added an extra team to the playoffs. So, Skip, I don't want to hear all this. You crying about the schedule making. Is that, they should have let Tom be at home and let him open up against an inferior team. Nah, stop crying. Go play.
No mercy. So the Cowboys will open up their season in LA against the Rams in their brand new stadium. Another tough road game for Dallas will be a Thursday night matchup against the Ravens here on Fox, Week 13. So, Skip, do you feel better or worse after seeing the Cowboys' schedule?
Better. Shannon Sharp. The harder I look at this schedule, the more I slept on it and went over it again and again this morning. It looks better and better to me. Maybe it's heart over head, but I don't think so. I think the Cowboys could win all their home games. I think they could go 8-0 at home. I think they're going to be so much better on defense that they can win some road games that maybe even I don't think they should be able to win. But given all that, I told you yesterday and last week, I'm not going to jinx them this time. I did let my heart run away with my head a year ago, and I'm kicking myself because it was still the dead weight that was Jason Garrett, old 8-8 Jason Garrett, Coach Clapp. And I went too far, and I jinxed my team last year to say that they could represent the NFC at the Miami Super Bowl on Fox. Too much for them to overcome. I think I put too much pressure on them in the offseason, and they couldn't live up. My quarterback couldn't live up to that kind of expectation, as you call it. So even though Fox Bet has them favored in 12 games, and I look at 13-3 as a distinct possibility, I'll be arch conservative. I'm going to gear myself way down and say 10-6. Don't ask me what the 6 losses are because I'm not going to be able to find them. I'll give you that they're going to lose at Seattle. What's that?
Yeah, the Ravens. I see them. The Rams, Seattle, the Ravens, the Eagles.
Rams? Eagles?
Yeah.
Which Eagles?
Yeah.
Road
the Eagles
Eagles?
on the road. Y'all losing. Yes. Week 8.
We play. Hey, Shannon, we've always played great at Philadelphia. I don't think my guys fear Philly at all. And last year, they played them close the whole way. My quarterback couldn't make a play and missed Tavon Austin on the play of the game, wide open for a touchdown. Could have tied the score late at 17. They're not. They got better. They're better on paper than the Eagles, and I think they're better psychologically than the Eagles. And again, I've got to get my quarterback right. If you tell me my quarterback's in a big quandary over franchise tag / stalemate negotiation, whatever, you might have me. But if Dak is right, if he's a happy camper, if he's healthy and he's happy, they're going to win this division. I think they could win it by 2 games. And the only game that I circle where I say, okay, you got me, is the one at Ravens. I don't think they can win that game. All the rest, to me, are winnable. Like Fox Bet says, they're going to be underdogs at Seattle. Okay, I'll give you that loss. Underdogs at Philly. Well, maybe, but they're just narrow underdogs. At Baltimore, they're significant underdogs. And then they're also underdogs to San Francisco in Jerry World. They're going to win that game. Hey, San Francisco, you watch. There's a thing that operates in the NFL that has been historically predictive, and that is Super Bowl loser syndrome. San Francisco is going to have a hard time picking itself up off the mat and getting back in gear. The only team that's ever been able to do it consistently was Brady's team in New England, but that was the GOAT. This is Jimmy G in San Francisco. I think they're going to struggle this year. I think they'll have a hard time psychologically trying to say, we got all the way to the mountaintop and then we didn't peak. No, you didn't. You fell off the mountaintop thanks to Jimmy G going 3 for 11 in the fourth quarter and an interception. So I say San Francisco is going to be in decline this year. Arizona will be on the rise, but Cowboys got Arizona at home. So I think it sets up very well for Dallas. And again, the defense is going to be so much better when you go get Gerald McCoy, Dontari Poe, and Neville Gallimore for the interior. That's some disruption going on. And then watch what Aldon Smith, Randy Gregory, Bradley Anae do coming off one edge with DeMarcus Lawrence off the other. Watch Wolf Hunter be back in the saddle off his neck injury with Jalen Smith. Watch what Trevon Diggs and Reggie Robinson do with the secondary as ball hawk corner/safeties. Watch the new energy and playmaking they bring. The defense is just going to be better, and CeeDee Lamb is going to change life in Dallas. He will rise quickly to be their number one receiver, even above Amari. So they'll have effectively 3 number one receivers because Gallup's on the rise also. Zeke will be re-inspired by all that playmaking on the perimeter. He'll come back as the leading rusher. The offensive line is still top 5. And Shannon Sharp is in bigger trouble than ever this year.
Skip, this is what I don't get. When you thought Trevon Diggs was going to go to Dallas, you say you was unimpressed. You watched him and you say he didn't flash. He didn't jump off the screen. You brought up the game against LSU. Now you have him and you talk about he's the second coming of Deion Sanders.
Timeout.
Go ahead, respond.
I talked about him. I didn't want him at 17. That was what most people were mocking Trevon Diggs to Dallas at 17. They stole him at 51 late in the second round. Well, he's a talented kid. He's a chip off the block of his older brother, obviously, who's now in Buffalo, because Trevon Diggs was a really good receiver in high school, a star receiver. He's best at ball hawking, getting his hands on footballs. He was chasing Jamar Chase too much in the LSU game. It bothers me. But if you put him in a new system surrounded by better playmakers, I just think he'll rise and shine and he'll intercept some balls that Byron Jones was not capable of intercepting. He had no ball hawk in his genetics. He was a shutdown corner as far as physicality and athletic ability went. He just couldn't find the ball and get his hands on the ball. Diggs can. Love him at 51. That's a steal because most people had him going late in the first round.
Just one more thing for Diggs. If you believe he's that guy, you should have taken him at 50. So it don't matter where you take him because you told me, well, Shannon, if you're so convinced on Tua, would you take him number 1? Yes, I was that convinced. If Trevon Diggs is what you said he is, it should have been no problem. Trevor, should have been no problem for you to take him at 17. Now, when I look at it, Skip, you keep on talking about, we're going to win these games. No, you're not. No, you're not. I don't see how we're going to lose. Skip, what I don't understand about you is that Dallas was the number 1 offense as far as total yards. How much better is the guy going to make CeeDee Lamb going to make him, Skip? They were over 400 yards last year. Are they going to be over 500 this year? Again, you talking about him, you and all these other reporters and the Todd McShays are talking about him like he's going to be Randy Moss. Say it right now. No. He's going to have a better rookie season than Randy Moss.
No. Randy Moss, I've told you this before, was the most dominating, dangerous deep threat in the history of pro football, and Dallas should have taken him in the first round in 1998, and they passed. I was covering the Bears at that point, and I wrote before the draft, got to take Randy Moss. They passed. Randy Moss ran 4.2. CeeDee Lamb ran 4.5, but he's much faster with the ball under his arms or tracking the deep ball. He's like 4.3 on the field, but he ain't Randy Moss because nobody was Randy Moss. So nobody ever compared. Okay. See, not one comparison did I read pre-draft that said CeeDee Lamb is Randy Moss. But DeAndre Hopkins, yes. Anquan Bolden, yes. You can combine those two and you've got CeeDee Lamb, and that is enough, and that will work.
I like the Eagles. Skip, did you know our Fox bet has the Eagles at the second best odds to start the season at 3-0? Only the 49ers have better odds because they start with the Cardinals, Jets, and Giants. The Eagles start at Washington, home against the Rams and the Bengals. We got the best odds. Second best odds to start 3-0. No. You guys going to start 1-2. You might start 0-3.
Wait, is it a 3-game season? Is that, we're abbreviated, so it's a 3-game for the Super Bowl? No.
Whoa. You remember the energy you had last year when you started 3-0? You remember how you was talking? Jenny, you remember it like it was yesterday. You come out here looking in your camera. Ooh, my Cowboys, my Dak Prescott. Ooh, my team looking good. It was 3-0, and you over here pounding your chest. Now, all of a sudden, I tell you, the Eagles are going to start the season 3-0. You're talking about, is it a 3-game season? No, we're just going to start. See, unlike you, we're going to start 3-0 and not look back. You guys started 3-0 and got ran down. That's the difference.
Okay. Thank you. Now I'm going to tell you what's really going to happen. FoxBet has Dallas favored in 12 games. FoxBet has the Eagles favored in only 11 games. And when I look at the closing schedule for the rival Eagles, they're in trouble because starting November 22nd at Browns, they're going to lose that game. Then you got Seahawks at home. I think that's going to be an L. At Green Bay, L. New Orleans at home, L. Arizona away, Kyler away at Phoenix, L. Dallas Cowboys at Jerry World, that's another big L. So maybe I'll give them a closing game against Washington at home. Man, I see them losing. If I just go completely pessimistic here, I got them losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in a row late in the year. Boy, that sounds like 8-ish to me.
Skip, what about you guys? Starting at week 8. At the Eagles, the Steelers, Minnesota, got Washington on Thanksgiving, okay. At Baltimore, home at 49ers, home again versus the Eagles. Huh? Okay.
Can win those games. We'll be okay.
As a matter of fact, by the time we play y'all the second time around, we might be rested. We might be resting players.
Really?
Yeah.
I think we're going to win the division, and we got due on that, so I am good.
I forgot, Skip. We can't rest players anymore because there's only one number 1 seed now, so everybody has to play opening weekend except the number 1 seed.
No mercy. This weekend, we'll get to hear about the practice fight between Michael Jordan and Steve Kerr in the upcoming episode of The Last Dance. Steve Kerr said that moment isn't something he is proud of and is a little self-conscious that it's being revisited. So, Shannon, what did this incident tell you about Michael Jordan?
It told me that Michael Jordan was a bully. He used his position as being the best player. He used his position as being the team leader and to bully guys. And Steve Kerr probably had enough of it, and he punched him in his chest, and Jordan punched him back. That's what it tells me about Michael Jordan. And Michael was a guy, and he's like most bullies. Skip, if I go to school every day and I allow someone to take my lunch or allow someone to take my money that I brought to purchase lunch with, if I allow that to happen and allow it to happen and go unchecked, it will continue to happen. So Steve Kerr just finally had enough, and he stood up for himself. Now, I don't believe they got into another confrontation, but that was what he had to take. Sometimes you have to take an ass cutting in order to gain someone's respect. And I believe that's what Steve Kerr did. But Michael Jordan went to call O'Shea to apologize. Wouldn't have been nothing to apologize for because I'd have tore him up, Jenny. I hope, look, you need an interior designer? Because I'm good at moving furniture. We're going to rearrange some furniture up in here. And Skip, you know, Michael, see, this the problem that I got with you, Skip Bayless. You hate bullies. You hate that. And you tell me what I don't defend what Michael doing, but I understand and the end result. damn an end result. The end result is that we fighting every day. Skip, me and my brother used to play basketball. We used to play sports every day. We played every day until I could consistently beat him. And when I could consistently beat him, guess what happened, Skip? We stopped playing. That's how I'm going to do Mike. That's how Mike is that type of guy, Skip. You got to fight him every day until you can consistently whip his butt. Now, between he and Steve said, I had enough of you doing all this stuff, and he punched Mike in the chest. That's his first mistake. You don't punch no man in no chest. You dot that eye. That's what he should have done. You know Mike was a bully, and he tried to bully them guys with his position. Mike didn't really want to fight, but they knew if they swung on Mike, they were going to be up out of there. But I got to go because we're going to rearrange some furniture up in here. You're not fit to bully me.
Okay. The only man Michael Jordan has ever bullied was from a distance, and it's your guy, LeBron James. He bullies him because he's clearly the GOAT. You know it, and LeBron knows it, and the world really knows it. That's distant bullying. That's like social distance bullying, social media bullying. Shannon, he wasn't a bully. He was a leader. This is the way he led. This is like General Patton led. This is where you let nobody beneath you see any sign of weakness. You're going to show them that nobody is going to challenge you or push you around or get away with any gray area defending, even in practice. Because practice is like a game 7 to Michael Jordan, the most psycho-driven competitor in the history of sports. It's why this team went 6-0 in the finals and why he won 6 MVPs. And all those guys that had any bitterness toward Michael from practice or plane ride incidents, they were thankful he was on their side in playoff games, because the guy who inspired and led by fear also struck fear into the hearts of the opposition. If you want to tell me he bullied the opposition, I'll give you that. But let's put into context what happened. Steve Kerr and Will Perdue in practice, they pushed Michael until he warned both of them, and they pushed again, and they paid for it. He's not going to take it from anybody, even a teammate. Even a little white teammate named Steve Kerr, if you push on him and beat on him and gray area foul him, and Phil Jackson has the whistle in his mouth in a practice scrimmage and he won't blow the whistle, and finally you warn Steve Kerr, and then Steve Kerr goes completely over the edge and shoves you in the chest, yeah, you're going to get a fist right back in the jaw. I don't think he hurt Steve Kerr. It wasn't some crazy football practice episode like we've seen where guys got hurt in practice. He punched him. He blacked his eye, I guess it was. He had a little black eye. Yeah. But Will Perdue did the same thing. He's not going to take it from the big white stiff of a center. He's not going to get away with this. He was setting hard picks on Michael in a practice scrimmage. And Michael said, I warn you, don't set an illegal pick on me again. It was an offensive foul of a pick. And Phil wouldn't blow the whistle, and Will Perdue said it again, and this guy's 7 feet tall, and he got jacked in the jaw. And it said, back off, you stepped over the line. And again, Michael led by fear, not love, but by fear.
Let me ask you a question. So good, I'm glad you say that. Michael, you pulled that bull job again. I'm going to bust you in your jaw. You see how that works, Skip Bayless? So in other words, Michael can say, don't do that, and everything we're supposed to stop. But if I tell Michael don't do that, he keep it going because he's leading. One thing Horace Grant wanted me to make abundantly clear to you and everybody else. Michael Jordan was a hell of a basketball player, a great basketball player. He said, but missed me with that leadership. Those are his words, not mine.
He was one of the greatest leaders sports has ever seen. He just didn't do it with love the way. Go ahead.
Skip, Fighting some. So in other words, Mike Tyson is a great leader because he can fight. Floyd Mayweather is a great leader. Skip, just because you're Skip, a lot of times only thing people think about bullying is I take something, I use force. You can use your position, you can use your title to also bully people. Because if I'm in constantly threat of my job because of the position or the title that you have, that's also bullying. Steve Kerr, shoved him, is like, man, enough is enough. But like I said, that's how you got to treat you have to do that to Michael. You got to meet force with force because that's all he understands. Skip, that's it. Michael Jordan is not the coach.
Okay.
Michael Jordan is not the owner. He might be the greatest player, but he has the same title as I have, player.
You keep trying to project yourself onto the 98 Chicago Bulls or 97 or 96. Shannon, you weren't there. It wasn't you. It was Will Perdue and Steve Kerr. And it was Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen. They weren't you. And they weren't going to fight back because this man was the baddest man on the planet. And again, Tom Brady motivates with love. He will verbally shred people during games and practices, but mostly he inspires love from his teammates. LeBron inspires love from his teammates. He's a lover, not a fighter. Jordan led by fear. He motivated by fear. They were afraid of him just as the opposition was afraid of him. This wasn't church league. This wasn't YMCA basketball. This was for NBA history and legacy. And he drove everybody around him to max it out. And they did. They went 6-0 in finals with 6 MVPs. And they all got down on their knees at the end of those championship runs and were thankful that they got to play with Michael Jeffrey Jordan. It wasn't pretty, Shannon. He was ruthless. He was heartless. He was cold-blooded. And he was the greatest competitor in the history of sports. All I know is the outcome was the outcome. You can argue all you want. You can shred all you want of the method that he got there, but you cannot criticize the outcome. The outcome was greatest ever. Period. End of story.
Skip, you can motivate by fear. You can motivate by reward. But the only motivation that's sustainable is self-motivation. Now, this notion, Skip, that because remember, Skip, when Michael Jordan left, Horace Grant went to the NBA All-Star game. He did do that. And then he went to the Lakers without Michael Jordan and won another NBA title. These guys are very self-motivated. Skip, you don't get to this level, Skip, without being self-motivated. All I'm saying is, Skip, I understand I wasn't there, but I'm saying I understand how to deal with people like Michael. Is that, bruh, like he told Steve Kerr, don't do it again. Like he told Will Perdue, don't do it again. That's the only message I'm telling him. Don't do that again, bruh. Other than that, that's it. We ain't got to go back and forth, round and round. Let's just go ahead and move this furniture. And then we're going to sell it, and then everything will be okay. We won't have that problem. Skip, do you actually think I would let John Elway punch me in my face or disrespect me to prove that he can trust me in a meaningful ball game, a playoff game, or a big game, or a Super Bowl? Do you actually think I would let that happen? A simple yes or a simple no?
Apples to oranges. Doesn't fit. Bad analogy. Different sport, different circumstance. You were on a Hall of Fame arc, as was John Elway. So it's equal respect. It's different. Horace Grant wasn't on Michael's level. He just wasn't. Yeah, but you were on a Hall of Fame arc. You established yourself as one of the best tight ends, if not the best, in football.
But Skip, even when I was, Skip, I didn't know the plays. He was having to tell me the plays. He was always saying, okay, do this, do that. Okay, Shannon, maybe you might need to study a little bit more. If you need some help, come see me and let me tell you what I'm thinking. But Skip, I'm just saying the disrespect that Michael shows some of these people, Skip, that's the problem that I have. I'm not arguing that he wasn't great.
Shannon.
He was historically great.
Did it work?
Skip, are we to say that it wouldn't? So, if, in other words, had Brady done it another way, he probably wouldn't have won 6. So that's what you're saying. That's the only way to win. Because Bill Russell won 11.
No,
I don't think he punched the KC.
Okay. No, different ways to motivate, different coaches.
Oh.
And again, Michael was the unofficial head coach. He really was the head coach of this team.
No mercy.
NFL teams took the top 6 spots, led by the Packers at number 1. Patriots, Steelers, Saints, Eagles, and Seahawks fans also made the list, but not the Cowboys. So, Shannon, how surprised were you that Cowboy fans did not make this top 10 list?
I knew y'all was fake. Y'all false bravado. Cowboy fans be opening up all these fake accounts. That's what they be doing. Skip. Now, the Patriots, you guys are going to be put to the test over the next 5 to 6 years with your fandom. Now, we're going to see if you have that same energy, how you was beating your chest and boasting how great you are. Everybody mad at us because they ain't us. We're going to see about that, Pats fan. But, Skip, all that being said, I'm surprised, considering that of the top 10 games that normally come out every year that we watch on television, the Cowboys have 4 or 5 of those. So I'm surprised that with that being said, that they're not one of the top 10 fan bases, because every year, no matter where we go, Skip, you remember the first year of us doing the show, we're in Houston, and all the Cowboys fans, now I got that because that still is Texas, and Texas is a Dallas town. Yeah, the Texans, you're great, but Texas is a Dallas town. But when we go on the road, we go to Vegas and we go to New York, and all them Cowboy jerseys be out there, and they be yelling and screaming when we have Cowboy topic. And even this year, I'm like, why the hell y'all in Miami? Y'all not in the Super Bowl. Y'all didn't even make the playoffs. And you down here for what? So, yes, I am surprised.
This is asinine. ASA 10, ASA 1 billion. This is just so wrong. So Forbes says the Dallas Cowboys are the most valuable team in the world, and the TV ratings, as you point out, say they're the number 1 draw in the National Football League perennially.
Yeah.
And you're telling me that they don't have passionate fans enough to even make the top 10? You're telling me their fans aren't as passionate as Golden State's in basketball or the Thunder? I grew up in Oklahoma City. It's a rabid fan base, but it's about that big. I'm sorry. This is America's team we're talking about. The reason the NFL is putting the Dallas Cowboys against the Rams to open SoFi Stadium on Sunday night, on opening Sunday, week 1, is because the Dallas Cowboys are the most popular team in Southern California. They're more popular than the Rams or the Chargers. Maybe the Raiders would still rival them, but it's Dallas. I know it. In New York City, I lived there for a dozen years, Shannon, when Ernestine and I would walk to the movies on a Saturday afternoon from 54th down to 42nd Street on 8th Avenue. Trust me, we often saw far more Cowboy jerseys on the streets of New York than Jets or Giants jerseys. They're everywhere, and they don't even make the top 10. Green Bay, I know they have a nice national following and they're a good road draw, but still, they're not bigger than the Dallas Cowboys. The Patriots second. I'm sorry. The Eagles fifth. They're rabid, but they're 1/10 the fan base that Dallas has nationally. It's preposterous that you wouldn't put Dallas somewhere on this list. And then I tried to rationalize, Shannon. I thought, okay, maybe they're saying Cowboy fans are spoiled. I always hear Cowboy fans are too spoiled. We haven't been to an NFC championship game or won a Super Bowl since 1995. How spoiled can you really be? I'm sorry. When I opened the list up, I just sort of perfunctorily thought, they'll be number 1. They're not even in the top 10. Wrong.
Skip, when I look at Golden State, their fan base, what? I'm talking about nationally, that's the last 5 years. Ain't about no Golden State 20 years ago. Ain't no Golden State 10 years ago. Ain't about Golden State now. You talk about OKC, Skip, basically since they got a basketball team. Man, ain't nobody really talking about the Thunder outside of Oklahoma. I'm confused. At least, Skip, the Cowboys have been around since 1960. And, you know, in the 70s and in the early 80s, the Cowboys were it. And they followed that and they picked right back up in the 90s. Like you said, they haven't gone to a Super Bowl in a quarter century. And still their fans believe they're going every single year. Every game the games that they play, watch the highest rated games. Them in New England, them in New Orleans, them and I get the Thanksgiving Day games, Skip, those are normally high. But when the Cowboys play, 5 of their games are going to be in the top 10, top 12 every single year. So I'm confused by this.
You know what? To sum this up about Oklahoma City, my hometown, it's rabid for the Thunder, but I'm pretty sure there are at least as many Cowboy fans in Oklahoma City as Thunder fans because Oklahoma City is a Cowboy stronghold. I grew up there as a Cowboy fan because it was our pro football team. I don't get
it. Skip, okay, Golden State got more rabid fans, but what is California? Is it a Warrior state or a Laker nation? When you look at the Cowboys, they got the Mavericks, they got the Rangers.
Lakers should be on here. Yeah, I agree.
No mercy.
As the NBA season gets closer to a potential return, video of Lonzo Ball working out surfaced, and fans were, well, not impressed. Just like his jump shot entering the league, fans fired back, saying he could have improved his lifting form. Shannon, give Lonzo's form a letter grade. Good thing you guys aren't asking me, because I wouldn't be nice about this. What do you got?
Hey, Skip, I'm going to give him an eye, because it's incomplete, because I don't know what the hell he was doing. I don't know if he was trying to do a push press. He was trying to do a strict press, military press. Now, Skip, if he's in a seated position and he was going with that short range of motion, I'm saying, okay, he's trying to keep the tension in the front depth, and so he doesn't want to go all the way overhead. But from a standing position and doing this, I have no earthly idea what he's doing other than putting unnecessary strain on his back, and he's going to end up hurting his back. What he's going to do, I can assure you of that.
Okay, so I'll give the overhead press a D. Standing overhead press with way too much weight. He couldn't finish his rep, and he's teetering underneath it, so I got that one. Yeah. But when he was at the bench press, he was throwing up 210 pounds, and it looked good. I'm going to give him an A for the bench press because for that skinny little thing that he used to be, he was pushing up some pretty significant weight, and he's put some pretty significant muscle on his upper body. His father is a trainer by trade, and by the way, when he jumped up and did the Hulk, that's the most I've seen Lonzo ever publicly come out of his shell, and I love that. So I'll give the reaction an A+. Way to go, Lonzo.
He's talking about how much weight is that? It's too light. Like, bruh, get the weight. You need to hold that area in and push the weight up and down. But Skip, the thing is, when you push your weight up overhead, the abdominal wall needs to be tight. He's like pushing out and his abs are relaxed. You're going to put unnecessary strain on your back and you're going to end up hurting your back.
No good.
So, LeVar, get with Lonzo and correct that form.
LeVar. Yep, I agree.
Yes.
I even know how to bench with accurate form with his abs. Jeez, come on. It's got to be better than that. That is it for Undisputed. We'll be back Monday, same time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern. Have a good day, everyone.